That's what it means, Montell.
This is Vessel Khan for Lights Out Association with Shamrock Boxing, and this is podcast 12 of the Lights Out Boxing podcast. And with me, delighted to be joined by fellow Lights Out team members. The ugly guy on my left is Ron, Mohsin Gulsher, and the two cute guys down below is Asif Khan and Montell, Dewante, aka Montz. How's it going, lads?
Well,
Waiting for Montell to put his glasses back on.
when I start talking, that's when I'll go on.
Obviously, before we get started, just want to remind the people out there, if they haven't already, make sure they hit that subscribe button, follow us on all the social media platforms. Be sure to give these guys a follow on Instagram as well. We'll be putting their links in our description. And podcast 12, before we actually get into it, we're going to do something new. Every podcast from now on, we'll start off with a quick fire question. And today's one, randomly pulled out of the hat, was name the best boxer ever to never win a world title. Ron, start off with you.
I'm thinking of the era with Ben and Eubank. It was Michael Watson for me.
Mm-hmm.
He had 3 world title shots and he came up short. And then obviously in that third one against Eubank, that second rematch, obviously, which ended tragically for him, where he was fighting for his life. Brilliant boxer. He ended the, Nigel Benn's undefeated run of 22 fights.
Mm-hmm.
He brought something different to what, Eubank and Ben brought to the ring. Mm-hmm. So for me, it's Michael Watson.
Montell?
I was going to say some Watson as well, but I'd say Martin Murray, Yeah. I feel he's a really good, durable, tough fighter. Obviously, he's been at the highest level. He's fought Groves, and he hasn't quite really reached the pinnacle, reached the top. And I felt he was let down with the Billy Joe Saunders fight as well.
Yeah.
For his last chance for a world title, but I think he's probably in the UK crop. He's probably one of them.
I agree with you with Martin Murray. I think he got robbed against Sergio Martinez.
I was going to just say that, yeah. I think he was away. He was an away fighter. He was never going to win that.
It's always going to be tough, isn't it?
I thought he put up a gutsy performance against Golovkin as well. I was actually quite surprised that he took it.
Yeah.
Way to 11 rounds. But yeah, Martin Murray, Michael Watson. Asif, yours?
I'm probably going to go for a fighter that's still active, that I can't see winning a world title. Probably someone like, I think Luis Ortiz has won a title. And that was pretty shocking to see, especially someone with his pedigree, his class, the way he fights, his skill. It just seems like someone that's probably mismanaged maybe, and he's come to the front so late in his career, but he doesn't seem like someone that's probably going to capture a world title. So it'd be a shame that if he didn't. But yeah, I'd probably say Luis Ortiz. Well, I was looking at David. Is it David Tua?
Yeah.
He was like Mike Tyson-esque. He was short, stocky. He had that pedigree that Tyson had, and when he come up against Lennox Lewis for his fight, he just got outclassed. But probably Luis Ortiz for me.
I like Ortiz. He's 40 years old and he's still a big name in the heavyweight division.
48.
No, I like Ortiz. I thought he was unlucky in the first fight against Wilder, and I thought up until the knockout in the second one, I thought he won every round. But no, he's still a big name, and I still think he's got big fights ahead of him, even with the age he's at. It's a durable fight. But anyway, we'll move on. Let's start off podcast 4 by discussing the breaking news that we received today. Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury both have agreed financial terms for a 2-fight deal. When I saw that notification, I jumped up and down in excitement, but then I realized it's only been agreement in terms of the financial side. So no venues, no dates, nothing like that been set. Guys, I look at it and I think that's probably the biggest stumbling block out of the way, the money side of it. What do you guys think?
I agree. Long before this, there was an argument on who gets what. Back in the day when Fury didn't have any belts, Eddie Hearn wouldn't have seen it as a 50-50 fight. But now I'm glad that they've got over that stumbling block, because Tyson Fury is worth that 50-50, despite, Anthony Joshua having majority of the belts.
Yeah, no, I think for me, you mentioned stumbling blocks. I think the one stumbling block for me is he's sitting in Alabama right now. His name is he's the main man himself. So he's still. I mean, has that fight been put to the side? I think what I heard from Eddie Hearn is that Wilder and Fury are still going to fight, and then obviously AJ is going to get his fight out of the way. So it's great that they've agreed all financial side of it, but they still have 2 fights to get through. And
Montell, what do you make of it? Do you think it's a big 100 blocks out of the way, or do you think there's perhaps another stumbling block that could potentially stop the fight from happening?
I still feel like we've got a long way to go. I think, like, obviously, in principle, it's nice to hear the news. Obviously, financial fees have been agreed, but we've still got to see mandatories be chalked off. What's going to happen to the likes of Dillian Whyte? Is he going to have to wait even longer? 2021, and then it kind of just discredits the whole kind of WBC sanctioning body, because he's waited how long now, and then now we've got this AJ Fury. I know we all want to see the AJ Fury, but like, this is why we have these governing bodies, because mandatories are there for a reason, and we need to stick to those rules. So I'm kind of looking at it at that side, not like as hyped as everyone else, but you know.
I mean, Asif mentioned, there's a guy in Alabama. There's a guy also, a chap in Bulgaria waiting as well. I've just read in the news, if he was to relinquish that, then Charles Martin would get a crack at that IBF title. So,
the man that walks the earth like his God.
There's also a man in Ukraine. If he beats Chisora when the fight does happen, will become the number one mandatory, I think, for the WBO in Alexander Usyk. So we're talking about mandatories. If I was Dillian Whyte, right, don't get me wrong, it's exciting to see that the money side has been agreed. But if you were Dillian Whyte right now, would you not be slightly pissed off thinking that, wait, hold on, I'm also your fighter. Shouldn't your job be get me the world title shot that I deserve and that I've waited for so many years for?
You know, I think, listen, there's going to come a point where he has to just forget about this whole loyalty to, was it the WBC?
Yeah.
And just go down another route, because let's say, Fury's going to fight Wilder, and then it's already agreed that he fights AJ. So when are we talking about a title shot for Dillian Whyte? 2022? Because they've talked about a 2-fight deal between them two. So we're looking at another 2 years. I mean, it's going to come a point where he needs to, just cut all ties with the WBC and go down another route. But then when you say go down another route, all the other routes are bloody with Tyson Fury. What's his name? AJ. So
I just want to rewind back to last year before Ruiz Joshua won. I remember I interviewed Dean White, who is looks after Dillian Whyte and is also his brother, and he said that they were offered the Anthony Joshua fight when Jarrell Miller failed the drugs tests, and they refused it because apparently the offer they were given for that fight was too low. I believe the offer was $4 to $6 million, where Ruiz was given an extra $2 million. You look at that and not think that was Dillian Whyte's perfect chance of getting a world title shot, or do you think he's done the right thing in holding out for a bigger payday for that world title shot?
I think he's done the right thing of holding out for a bigger payday, because one, he knows his worth as a boxer now. He's probably apart from AJ, is the only pay-per-view fighter that Matchroom have really got. He's been promised he's mandatory for the WBC. So why should he take a semi-low-ball offer to fight AJ like last minute, especially when he needs probably about 12 weeks, a full camp, not like a 4 to 6 week camp to train for someone like AJ. And I think, I'm a big Dillian Whyte fan, but I do think he has improved a lot more than the likes of AJ. And I think now, looking at his last few performances, I think you have to give him a shot. What's going to happen to the likes of the WBC now? He's just going to get away with it, or like, is he going to get some money, or how's it going to work?
I think it definitely is. It's really, really disrespectful how they made him wait, because he could have easily just sat around, taken a few easy fights. But you look who he's beaten since he's been the number one mandatory. He's beaten Joseph Parker, Oscar Rivas, and of course that fight with Derek Chisora at the back end of 2018. But read a quote from Eddie Hearn. He said, "We have the Dillian Whyte mandatory, which is due before this fight. It's fair to say Joshua and Fury are in agreement regarding the financial terms of this fight. We're in a good place. It's fair to say that in principle, both guys have agreed to 2 fights." So I think Eddie Hearn still got at the back of his mind. He wants to make the Whyte fight happen, the Dillian Whyte world title shot first. Can you guys honestly see Dillian Whyte getting his shot at the world title next year in February 2021 when he's scheduled to get his world title shot?
No. That's it, simple. I mean, look, we've just mentioned a host of names who are lining up, waiting for that shot. And poor Dillian Whyte, his wait doesn't seem like it's going to be over anytime soon. And all the marbles are with those 2 boxers. And it's sad because Dillian Whyte, if we had to do a top 5 of heavyweights, there's a good chance that we would put Dillian Whyte number 3.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I just really, really feel for Dillian Whyte. I mean, like I said, the fighters he's beaten since becoming WBC #1 mandatory, I believe it's since he defeated Lucas Brown. That's all the
Who's
way.
he fighting next? Who's he? He's got Pulev? No. Povetkin, that's it. I mean, again, he's not taking any easy fights. He just wants to. And he's even willing to go into MMA as well whilst he's there.
You can't.
Last time, I think he's probably got a better chance of becoming a UFC heavyweight title champion than the boxing champion. I just find it all strange. You know what? It's really weird. I'm trying to think of last time where a fight was announced. Not announced. Obviously, the AJ and Fury fight hasn't been announced. But to say it's been agreed, but they're still going to fight other people. I don't know. I find everything really, really strange. What's happening? The timing, the way it's come out. You don't normally, make these kind of announcements only just before a fight's going to actually happen. But I don't know. I just think it's all a bit really strange, really.
You know what the real worry is just imagine Fury loses or Joshua loses their mandatory.
Exactly, yeah.
That fight's done. There's no way that you're going to hype that fight up for wanting them to be, to wanting them to not have a title and for everyone to be a champion. The reason why the fight is so big now is because they both hold all the marbles and because they're both British fighters. And I remember saying in one of our last podcasts, I think now's the best time to make it happen because if anyone thinks that Tyson Fury is just going to walk through Deontay Wilder just like that and Joshua's going to have an easy night against Pulev, it's not going to work like that. It's heavyweight boxing. I mean, did we all think that Tyson Fury was capable of knocking out Deontay Wilder? Had we not know Wilder's going to improve in the 3rd fight? Had we not know Pulev's going to pull something out of the bag? I don't know. I agree with you, Asif. I think it's a bit of a strange timing, but it is exciting times, though. And I do think that the biggest stumbling block in terms of the financial side of it is out of the way. But yeah,
I was going to
all of that aside, I mean, if you ask the fans what 2 heavyweights they want to see, they will say AJ and Fury, without a doubt. Regardless of whatever Dillian Whyte's done, it's not about. I mean, you 3, you would all say AJ and Fury.
Yeah.
Would you not?
Yeah.
I mean, it's money talks. That's gonna. I mean, yeah, an AJ versus Dillian Whyte. Yeah, it will sell, but not as much as a Fury versus AJ.
I was going to say, I know you want to move on, but I was going to say, everything that's going on lately, with everything that's going on in the media and everything, and AJ this week has taken a battering on social media because of everything that happened and, people, their opinion of what he said at this protest and that. For the first time, really, he's being questioned, maybe looked at differently from certain members of the world. And this fight, this announcement, it kind of takes it away from that. So it could be just a really good, sensible move from Eddie Hearn to just kind of just, distract from all that negativity, unwanted and really unnecessary negativity towards AJ. So, like I say, it's all really strange, this announcement. It's great for us fans, but there's so many stumbling blocks in the way before this fight's even signed.
Queensbury Promotions and MTK Global as well released a statement, I think, a couple of hours just after, and they've more or less said what Eddie Hearn said. It's going in the right direction. There's been a financial agreement. I think now it's just a case of getting the mandatories out of the way, and just getting the mandatories out of the way. But I do honestly believe that the best time to make that fight happen is now, because of it's just like I said. I mean, Deontay Wilder is apparently carrying an injury. I think Kubrat Pulev is willing to take a step aside. Fear as well, but it would be interesting to see it happen now. But then again, you guys say that this has to happen in front of perhaps 90,000, or maybe over in America or Saudi Arabia. Montell, I mean, I got their thoughts on the last podcast. If this fight does happen, when do you think is now is the right time to make it happen, or would you say perhaps wait for this whole pandemic thing to sort of calm down and get the fans back into boxing and then make the fight?
Yeah, this fight is a fan fight, so we can't. Well, we can, but I don't think we can have this fight or view this fight behind closed doors. That's like blasphemy for me, to be honest, because we've got arguably the biggest fight in boxing history, definitely the biggest boxing fight in UK boxing history. This needs to be in front of the creme de la creme. Every fan in the world needs to see this, whether it's on TV, whether you're in the pub, whether you're there. I'll try and get tickets if it's in England, but obviously it's just too big of a fight. We've got two of the biggest heavyweight boxing, two of the biggest stars coming head to head. The bad guy versus good guy. We don't know who the bad guy is. We don't know who the good guy is, whether it's Fury or AJ, but, we need to see fans behind that fight, definitely.
Exciting fight, the fight that everybody wants to see, the fight that the world wants to see, but it has so many complications to it. Let's move on. Let's talk about last night. Boxing returned in Las Vegas. Top Rank and Bob Arum put on a very, very good show. It was the first time watching boxing without the fans. You could hear the kind of conversations in the corner. You could hear the referee talking to the fighters. All in all, I thought it was a pretty good show. There were a few things that could have been better. Massive credit to the likes of Joe Tessitore, Tim Bradley, and Andre Ward, and Mike Grieger, who was obviously the commentators for the night. I thought it was a really good show. Lads, looking back on it, obviously this is something we're gonna have to get used to. God knows for how long. But what did you make of boxing's return last night without the fans?
I loved it. Listen, I loved hearing them punches land. I loved hearing the grunts. Do you know what? Watching it, for me, it felt more. You felt there, because you heard everything. Every time a punch landed, every time there was a bit of trash talking, like you said, the corners. For me, it felt more real. Obviously, as you want to see the fans, there, and you want to hear the atmosphere. But when you're watching it on TV, I think for me, I preferred it that way, if I'm being honest.
Looking back on it, Montell, Ron, I mean, was you a fan of it? Did you approve of it, or did you just think, nah, not for you? Definitely, it needs the fans.
I think continuing the current climate, I mean, this is a good medium. We want everyone to be safe, so they're taking precautions, and we got our boxing fix back already. We're going to see that same back in the UK in July at some point, with I think who will be hearing? Is it Chisora fighting in July or something? Or I think Eddie Hearn's going to put on a few shows. So we got a glimpse of it, of what it's going to be like in the UK. And then I think it was good to see the commentary was on point there with Andre Ward and Tim Bradley. Some good performances there. I think it was Tyson Fury's sparring partner. He got a win as well on that card. We've got to see Shakur Stevenson, obviously winning by a body blow. Shakur Stevenson, who's been compared to, he's a southpaw, kind of like Mayweather. He's been referred to by Bob Arum. I mean, the only thing I found strange was it was on a Tuesday or a Wednesday night. That was the only odd thing about it. Do people watch boxing on a Tuesday and a Wednesday night in the US?
Right now they do.
Yeah. I've got to ask you one thing I found. Obviously, it has to be done now because of what's going on and everything. But they were like disinfecting the ring and the interviews, like the fight was a few meters away. What did you make of last night's show and of course these regulations that they're taking now in boxing?
I think as the two lads have said, it's something we've got to get used to. It's strange, like looking at them, like kind of like wiping down the ring and whatnot, and the social distancing with the interviews and stuff. But I feel like, as Ron said, it's a medium for us all. It's something to watch. I do like hearing the jabs, the hooks, because I feel like sometimes when I'm watching boxing on TV, in the midst of it, you can just hear like the commentators and the fans, so you don't really always get the kind of like the punches and stuff. So I thought it was a really good showing, and I think all knockouts across the card. I think obviously we're now seeing kind of like Bob Arum trying to push Shakur Stevenson up to kind of like the Terence Crawfords and the Lomachenko kind of mainstay level. So I think it was a really good show, and he's getting the ball rolling as Dana White's done already. This is it now. We're going to get the ball rolling and see what's going to happen. Yeah.
One covering the show last night, which via Twitter and everything, and watching it at the same time. One thing I actually caught on to is that you'll focus a lot more now on the up-and-coming fighters in these shows, because obviously we haven't seen boxing in a while, and the fact that it's only 6 shows. And speaking of the heavyweights, there were 2 heavyweights that were on that show last night, the Italian Guido Vianello and Jared Anderson. Jared Anderson was a guy that sparred with Tyson Fury, and according to Andre Ward and Joe Testori, apparently he gave a really good showing. And I think that's one good thing about these shows. You're going to focus a lot more on the up-and-coming fighters now. But it also did get a lot of stick on Twitter because of it was... time-wise, it took too long in between from one fight to another. The breaks were too long. There was too much punditry going on. And it was annoying because I've actually thought it was a good show, and it was nice to see boxing back. Asif, overall, when you look back at the show, would you say it was a success? And are you looking forward to more shows? Obviously, we've got one tomorrow night with Bob Arum. And how well do you think the UK fans will take this new setup in boxing?
It's a start, and I think someone had to make the start. And from a start, you're only going to get better. So if there were any mistakes made, if there were any things that need to be improved, then you have to start from somewhere. But I thought it was a success. I thought all the measures they put in place. You can see the idea that that they've looked at the UFC and what they do. So, as a fan, like Ron said, we just want our boxing. We're not really fussed how it comes at the moment. And again, pretty much like you said, spot on. It gives these fighters that maybe people haven't heard of. It gives them that exposure. It gives them that airtime. And yeah, we're getting some boxing, and that's the main thing.
Ron also mentioned the comparison to Floyd Mayweather and Shakur Stevenson. Now, I've watched a bit of Shakur Stevenson, but this is actually the first time I was on Shakur Stevenson, and I have to say, this guy is a quality fighter. He's young, he's hungry, he's talented, and even better, he's got Andre Ward looking after him. Montell, we had a bit of a discussion on WhatsApp earlier on before. How far do you see this kid going, and how much more interesting does it make that potential fight with the Leeds Warrior and Josh Warrington?
Yeah, I feel like Shakur Stevenson is going to go all the way. I feel like with him, he can talk. He's got the shot selection. He's got the power. He's got the skill. He's got the Olympic background. He's got everything. It all makes sense. And I think when you're a southpaw as well, you just a lot awkward more than obviously the orthodox fighters. And I think like a lot of other guys are wary of him. So I think looking at the kind of like the Warrington fight, I think he wins. I do think he beats Josh Warrington. I think Warrington's a very, very good fighter. I'd say he's an elite fighter at the weight, but I feel like Shakur Stevenson's got too much. It kind of reminds me of kind of like when Errol Spence came over to Sheffield to fight Cal Brook, and there was all that hype around him. I feel like it's that kind of same kind of thing, and I feel like he's going straight to the top.
I was going to add to that. Yeah, do you know what? There's some fighters I watch and you instantly just take a liking to. And I watched his performance here, and honestly, just everything about it. I didn't know too much about his opponent, but him himself, the shot selection, he didn't waste no punches. He had the power. He had the ring IQ. This guy, man. And you know what you mentioned, and I didn't think about Errol Spence Jr. There's such a similarity between the two. They don't waste punches, and it's interesting to hear Faisal say he's mentored by Andre Ward, because you can see a bit of that Andre Ward in him as well. That ring IQ, but the guy, man, he's something else. And if he did fight Josh Warrington, I can only see one winner. Quite easy, actually. I think he'd make that fight look very, very easy.
He's been touted for quite some time as the next big thing. Obviously he's got that amateur pedigree as well. He's only 22 years of age, so he's at the really early stages of his career. And Warrington was asked about it, and he said, "Look, he's not gone through the experiences that I've had, and I can see him being willing to take that fight and coming to the UK, and it not being really fazed by it. There's the difference of style there. I mean, Warrington, the volume of punches, but I think what Shakur Stevenson's got is that power. That body shot looked nasty. If he's doing that,
sounded nasty
at that weight. It's going to be an interesting matchup. Experience versus youth.
Do you know one thing I really like about Josh Warrington is his engine. He just he throws these barrage of punches. And I remember when we covered his fight against Frampton, we were like, do we watch Whyte versus Chisora 2? Do we watch Warrington versus Frampton? And I'm so...
We kept them switching over, didn't we?
It was a great fight. I'm so glad we covered it, because Warrington, I mean, I followed Carl Frampton. I've never seen someone rock Carl Frampton like that before, the way Josh Warrington did. And I do think it's a massive comparison to when Errol Spence came over to fight Kell Brook, come down to Yorkshire and fight Josh Warrington in Leeds. It makes for a big fight. When Josh Warrington with Frank Warren, of course, tried chasing that fight, it didn't happen. But now I believe that is with Eddie Hearn, and is that the Zone platform. Josh Warrington's got that fight with, I believe his name is Ku Chan, the featherweight. I believe if he can get past Ku Chan and Shakur Stevenson.
Is that a mandatory?
That is a mandatory, yeah. But Ku Chan again, another good fighter.
Sorry, Faisal. I thought Galahad worked his way back into a mandatory spot again.
Next fight is Ku Chan, and then obviously Galahad should be getting his a rematch with Josh Warrington. I think that's how you pronounce his name. According to Eddie Hearn, that's a tough fight as well. Not seen much of Ku Chan.
Do you think it could be a bit too early for Shakur Stevenson? Do you reckon he could do with another fight before moving on to Warrington?
Put him in now.
There's levels. Warrington is a lot more experienced.
He made it look so easy. And once he did against the Kell Brook fight, he made it look so easy. And I don't think Shakur Stevenson...
I'm just thinking of his age. He's 22. He's not had that many fights. And, he hasn't had the experience of going over to a country. If, let's just say, arguing, you mentioned Kid Galahad. How about throwing those two in the ring? And there you go. The winner faces Warrington.
They'll want to push him as far as they can now. They'll want to get him to start unifying, perhaps moving up in weight class. And I do feel now's the right time.
Yeah, true.
So I think this fight, yesterday, he moved up a weight class, wasn't it? It wasn't his normal weight class. I can't remember what weight class it was at, but they were saying he went up in weight. But the guy's ready, man. Like I said, I don't know much about his opponent, but just watching him yesterday, you can just tell he's made for the top. And he sounds like, hearing him speak as well, he sounds like he's got, he's on that level as well. He's not too up himself. He believes in himself, and I'd love to see that fight. Wherever it would be, I'd love to see that fight. But like I said, I don't see anyone. I don't see Warrington beating him.
Before we bring the podcast to an end, let's just try and get one more topic in. Rumours over the last week or so, Manny Pacquiao interested in a fight with Gennady Golovkin. Just a few stats about Manny Pacquiao. Okay, Montell. He's never fought over 150 before. It'll be the first time stepping up to 160, or it could happen at a potential catchweight. Can a 41-year-old step up in weight like that and beat a fighter like Golovkin? Montell, I saw your reaction to this one.
No.
Why not?
No. you got to think, Manny Pacquiao's come all the way from flyweight.
Manny Pacquiao beating Keith Thurman last year.
Yeah.
No, Montell.
I didn't, but Golovkin, come on, Golovkin.
If it happens at 150, I reckon Pacquiao's got a chance. I think
Do you think Golovkin's really going to move down to 150?
Manny Pacquiao.
Manny Pacquiao.
If it happens at a catchweight, I tell you now, I think Manny Pacquiao can beat Golovkin. You don't write Manny Pacquiao off, man. He's still one of the top
No,
five.
the thing is,
don't write off Golovkin either.
It'll be a cat and mouse kind of thing.
I don't know what. Who came up with that idea? I think it was Freddie Roach, wasn't it?
Freddie Roach is saying that if it happens at 150, it'd be a good fight. But if it goes up to 160, it's just too much for a 41-year-old. To move from 147 to 160, it's a big ask, especially for a guy.
What weight did Amir Khan and Canelo fight at? What was the catch weight?
I think it was welterweight.
No, it was
155, wasn't it?
154.
154.
He was 154.
So, I mean, like, there you go. There's a middle there potentially, but I mean, I'm not even trying to put Amir Khan and Pacquiao in the same bracket here, but there's power.
The champion.
There's levels with this power.
Yeah, it'll go the exact same way. Pacquiao will probably win the first 3, 4, 5 rounds, and then Triple G will hit him with one haymaker, and that will be lights out, career out, and off politics you go. Good way to sign that.
Do you guys honestly believe that the 8-weight world champ, the current WBA welterweight champion of the world, stands no chance against Gennady Golovkin?
Super middleweight, a middleweight, someone.
Junior
welterweight. What weight is he fighting at the moment? He's a big guy. You know what I mean?
He's a massive puncher as well. And the thing is, you got to think of it like this.
And he's a good boxer.
Yeah, exactly. How is Manny Pacquiao really going to beat him over 12 rounds?
How can you not say Manny Pacquiao does not stand a chance in this fight? But
G said
law of physics, but you know what I mean. Like, just look at it.
We'll have to bring podcast show to an end because we're running out of the time, guys. Thank you very much.
I'll bring drama.
I'll end up smashing my screen if we carry on. Guys, thank you for your time. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button, like and comment. Montz, Asif, Ron, catch up you guys in podcast 13. That's all we've got time for in podcast 12 of the Lights Out Boxing Podcast.